Everyone. This is the session on students falling further behind. What do I do for special education IEPs in the middle of this pandemic? And really, we're all in it together. It's not just one or two of us or just a few kids, but it's all of our students in the nation at this point. So we have been presenting for the last 5 times, and we're faculty or former faculty at UWS and then former PK-12 teachers. So I'm Dr. Mary Jane Burge, and I have Dr. Deb Knazer and Dr. Christy Wrights with me as well today. So what we'd like to do is have you introduce yourself and tell us what your role is, and then something about your child or your children. So you have to unmute your microphones to do that. So Alice, do you want to start?
Hi, I'm Alice Mathias, and I work with students with special needs. I'm a cross-categorical special education teacher.
Great, welcome. And Margaret? You unmuted your microphone, Margaret, but we can't hear you.
I unmuted her, but maybe she doesn't have a microphone on her device.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
All right. So just to give you a little bit of background of me, I was a step parent and now a grandparent of children with disabilities. So when we talk about some of that summer slide or those kinds of things, being out of school since March through the beginning of June can create those kinds of issues. So what I want to do is share with you some of the things that we're finding as we're looking at new ways to learn. So first of all, teachers and parents have extended their partnerships. And these partnerships were always available in special education. They're just so much more important now. And we're talking to parents about access, availability, timing, when's the best time to actually interact with your child. Everything could be new. This whole thing could be new. Students could be never having used a computer before, or the adults not really communicating in that fashion. Some of the relationships have changed, and then we're using computers and telephones rather than that direct, immediate in-person contact. But we're talking about children of all ages, you know, and really we're all in this together. We're adults that are partnering with others to try to figure out how best do we serve our students. The sharing time with siblings and other students, that's going to be a key aspect of this. Finding the best learning time. Some students learn better in the afternoon than they do in the morning or early evening. So if you can come up with a type of schedule that works for that, that would be great. But we know within this whole thing, relationships are changed, and the newness of this has really probably struck us the most, especially in special education, because we're so used to much more hands-on type of learning and teaching. So when we talk about special education, it really is about specially designed instruction. So a service that's described in the IEP has to address one or more of the disability-related needs. It shouldn't be a whole laundry list of things, but it should be specific to the disability-related needs. And that should be spelled out in the IEP. And the service or the intervention is continuous due to the nature of the disability. It's not something you just do this week and not next week and the week after, but it's something that you continue to do throughout time. So what is special education in the virtual world? First of all, it could be therapies delivered in your home via Zoom. And so I have an example that I'd like to share with you. but my screen's flipped. All right.
Okay, all right, Mia, are you ready for our exercises? Yeah. Okay, let me show you the first one we're gonna do. What animal do you see up here? The crab. The crab, let's do our crab walks. Ready, let's do 10 crab walks. Belly up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good work. Mia, we have a choice now. Do you want to do your book first, or do you want to do tennis ball guy first? A tennis ball. Tennis ball guy. Oh, he's fun. Good. And put your hands on the red circles. We're going to squeeze. It's a little bit tricky. Tennis ball guy likes pennies. Can you feed him some pennies? Nom, 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 nom. Nom. He's full. Okay, he's full. Okay, let's put him over to the side for a minute. How about we do our copycat game now, Mia? Okay, so I'm gonna do the picture, Mia, and can you copycat? Yeah. Okay, here's the first picture. I'm gonna draw a tree. Can you do a tree? You do a tree. There. Good, and can you do some leaves on the top? Oh, you're coloring. I like your blue tree. Okay, let's make a T for tree. And Mia can do it right next to it or on the next one. We're gonna go down, across, T for tree. I can do it. You can do T. I did it. I did it. You did it, awesome. We're gonna write some sentences with our pictures. I'm gonna go first, and then it's your turn. Mia, let's put the orange circle all the way up here, up at the top. Can you do that? Ooh, the pumpkin is red. You made a sentence. Good working, Mia. Okay, let's do our apple picture too. That's it, you got it. Is the apple red or orange? Orange. Wait a minute. Are you fooling me? I think that apple's red. I think you're fooling me, Miss Mia. We'll have a silly sentence today.
So that gives you an idea of what occupational therapy would be in the home. But throughout those scenes, you could either see the mother's leg or the mom herself. So this is where parents really do become partners in the whole thing. And that's the tricky part to deliver, is that partnership, especially if the parent is working at home at the same time. So that's where scheduling will come into effect. There's a special education teacher working with small groups. So I have a sample of that to show you as well.
Your answers are the middle, average, music, or being unkind. Oh, I'm trying to get back to my screen. Wait, there we go. Maybe. This is hard. Okay, everybody take a breath. When you have the screens, you should be able to move them or make them smaller so that you have both screens side by side on your screen, on your computer screen. Can you see that? So you could make the Zoom, the box where the screen is, you should be able to make that a little bit smaller, and then have the other tab where you're going to click the buttons next to it.
what happens in the rest of the video, and I don't know why it froze up like that, is that the child that was having problems with the screen, even though she walked him through some of the technology pieces, he actually blanked himself so that he couldn't be seen because he was kind of melting down. But eventually he does come around and he can catch on to what they're doing with the Kahoot. And this teacher, I've seen her teach a number of times, and what she does is just masterful with trying to meet each of those individual needs, talking them through the technology, trying to go ahead and give them the attention that they need, and then make sure that they're working on the assignments. And she's doing this on a daily basis. So, you know, people aren't just sitting at home and relaxing at this point in time. They're really trying to meet all those needs. And what I've heard from teachers is they're working harder now than they ever have. And they didn't know that they had that much more to give. And
Mary
then
Jane,
I've also, yeah.
oh, if I could just chime in for a second too. I know that Kahoot had a lot of criticism because you saw like the timer tick down, and Kahoot
Right.
used to be very specific, like you only have a certain amount of time to respond. And I know that was really challenging for a lot of students, not just students with special needs. And now they have an additional option within Kahoot where they can play where it's not so competitive and they can take more time to respond. So that's another option for using Kahoot as well for that situation.
Yeah, and I think that's a good add-on there, because obviously the kid was getting so upset, and those were sixth graders in that particular clip.
Right.
And then several students and teachers have told me that they're doing IEP meetings either via Zoom or via telephone, depending on what the district allows. Because some districts did zap out of Zoom basically because people were bombarding it and it didn't have the security it needed. So depending on what kind of money a district wanted to put up towards that, it began to make the difference. But what I have found is that there's probably more communication now with families because of the pandemic, as opposed to when we're dealing with students right in school. So working each day, meeting with a virtual small group to work their way through math concepts or to try to figure out curriculum pieces, any of those issues that come up on a regular basis. Again, I think teachers are taking more time to do that kind of thing than they ever did before. You know, you could pass by somebody in the hallway and ask a quick question. Now we schedule with each other to get on Zoom and work some of the issues through. There's also live teaching or recorded teaching and using tutorials to practice. And the other day in our workshop, we did present the Khan Academy, and that has all of the different subject matters as well as it's leveled. So wherever a child comes in, they can be leveled down or up depending on what they have mastered. And you can use Khan Academy at home all summer if that's something you are interested in. Okay, now I'm stuck. There it is. All right, so when this all started to happen, the US Department of Education gave us guidance, and it was very flexible for schools and families. Number one thing we should do is pay attention to health and connections. So that's why you see a lot of special education teachers reaching out to those families and talking with students or trying to present online. They wanted to make sure that everybody got on the same page. So if you needed to shift some things within the services or the IEP, people were meeting in that fashion to make that happen. That meant goals might shift with this new reality. They might not be able to accomplish these things by June. So how do you set up different benchmarks as you're going through? One of the things that the US Department of Education cited was giving sensory breaks. Not only good for teachers and students, but also for the parents. So that opportunity to smell the coffee that's brewing, or to go outside and take a walk, or to go ahead and have some ice cream, those kinds of things, you know, different times of day, different ways to meet the needs of your senses. Also, they talk about scheduling communications with families, with students, and then teachers actually documenting that so that they keep a log of all of the communication that goes back and forth, whether it's on email or text or Zoom, telephone, any of those kinds of things. And then they also said, think outside the IEP so that you're doing walks with kids, reading, art, games. You might not be able to do all of those things with a teacher online, but you could certainly do those as a family and just try to challenge your child that way. And that's something that could actually continue on through the summertime. So if they're getting behind, there are some possible remedies. First of all, ask for a revised IEP to be developed. Then ask therapists for exercises for the summer. If you've been through physical therapy or occupational therapy before, you know that you had practice time at home in between the times that you saw therapists. Summer is a longer period of time, but that could be also that practice time for your child and for you to oversee that. And it doesn't have to be like 3-hour sessions or anything. It could just be 10-minute sessions to work on that small motor or large motor capabilities. Also provide enrichment activities at home over the summer. As I said, Khan Academy could work on academic skills in that fashion. And then when school does reopen, and we just don't know when that's going to happen yet, you could request compensatory education to try to recapture some of those minutes lost. But I know that schools are actually documenting the minutes that they are spending with children, comparing that to the IEP, seeing if they need a revised IEP or not. So there may not be that opportunity for compensatory education, but we do know that the best thing that teachers do is to start out a school year catching students up to the same point so then they can proceed. So that can happen in special education as well as in regular education. That's what we're looking to do when we do get schools back open and in person again. But at the same time, we're also offering some opportunities for teachers to learn over the summer how they can do more things online so that we don't miss any minutes going forward. So I'd like to thank you for being with us today, and any questions that our group might ponder with you or that you have and you just want to kind of toss out. Well, thanks so much for being with us, and have a great day. Enjoy what you're up to. Make sure you take sensory breaks and try a new skill.